U.S. fisheries are classified under the Marine Mammal Protection Act according to the level of interactions that result in incidental mortality or serious injury of marine mammals. Number of participants estimates are based on state and federal fisheries permit data. The estimated number of participants is expressed in terms of the number of active participants in the fishery, when possible. If this information is not available, the estimated number of vessels or persons licensed for a particular fishery is provided. If no recent information is available on the number of participants, then the number from the most recent LOF is used. NOAA Fisheries acknowledges that, in some cases, these estimations may be inflating actual effort. The total annual mortality and serious injury of humpback whale, Central America, Southern Mexico CA/OR stock, in this fishery is greater than or equal to 50% of the stock's potential biological removal, PBR, level.
Whoa.
This fishery operates along the central and northern coastal waters of California, CA, in depths typically ranging from 10 to 40 fathoms, although effort occurs out to 100 FM. The fishery is divided into two management areas. The central region south of the Mendocino-Sonoma County line can be opened from November 15th to June 30th. The northern region, north of the Mendocino-Sonoma County line, can open on December 1st, and can continue until July 15th. Issues such as crab quality, domoic acid, and whale entanglement risk can influence the opening and closing dates each season. The cylindrical or rectangular pots used in the fishery are fished individually. A trap limit program has been implemented with 7 tiers that range from allowances of up to 500 traps down to 175 traps that may be operated by a permit holder at one time. No more than 2 trailer buoys and 1 end marker buoy, smaller than 5 inches in diameter and no more than 3 feet behind the last trailer buoy, can be used. The distance between the front end of the main buoy to the tail end of the last trailer buoy is limited to 24 feet for traps set in depths less than 35 fathoms, and limited to 36 feet for traps set in depths greater than 35 fathoms. Buoys must include a buoy tag with the fisherman's license number. This is a limited entry fishery managed by the state of CA consistent with the Tri-State Committee Agreement for Dungeness crab, which also includes the states of Oregon and Washington. There is also a California Dungeness Crab Task Force, created in 2009, consisting of industry advisors that review and recommend management measures to the CA state legislature. In addition to the 2 primary management zones, the coast is divided into 7 fishing zones for the purposes of managing whale and sea turtle entanglement risk by California Department of Fish and Wildlife, CDFW, under their Risk Assessment and Mitigation Program, RAM. These regulations give the director of CDFW, in consultation with an advisory working group of stakeholders, the ability to manage the fishery through a variety of options in response to elevated entanglement risk for ESA-listed humpback and blue whales, along with leatherback sea turtles. While participating in the fishery, vessels must submit bi-weekly reports to CDFW on their fishing activities. Any fish can be taken incidentally with traps provided that regulations are followed concerning individual catch. Rock crab permits are required to keep rock crab, while crabs not belonging to the genus Cancer SP are also allowed to be taken incidentally, but are subject to limited amounts.
Yo! Nice. Nice.
It should be no surprise that fresh and in-season crabs are best. The good news, you can get your hands on recently caught crab any time of the year, depending on the type of crab. Knowing the season for each crab type will help you find, and look forward to, the freshest options, whether you're buying from the fish market or ordering them at a restaurant. Here's when to prepare for crab season in your area and how to make the most of it. The primary season for all crab species runs from October to January, when they are often at their largest and populations are highest after spawning. Some regions even stretch crabbing season into July. It depends on the area and specific type of crab to know when the season is and when crabs will be their freshest.
Yeah.
Some of the largest crab-producing states, like Alaska and Maine, start crab season in the fall, around October, and end it as temperatures start climbing in early spring. Some southern states, such as Florida and South Carolina, have a year-round crab season. Some states have crabbing seasons during warmer months instead of winter when crabs are more dormant and inactive. Maryland, for example, has a crabbing season that starts in April and ends in December. Before you round up your nets, traps, and buoys, look into your state's fishing season and requirements. Most states list the permitted fishing season for each type of species on fish and wildlife websites. Opening and closing dates, as well as size limits and bag limits, are also listed.
Wow.
If your state requires a fishing license, make sure you have one for each fisher before hitting the water. Make sure also you don't need an additional license for crab fishing. Some states issue separate licenses for separate species. Also, keep tabs on changes to season-ending dates. In some states, crab season will shorten if fish and wildlife experts detect a species population number is too low.
Quay nhiều rồi đủ chưa? Quay nhiều rồi á. Quay nhiều rồi đủ chưa? Quay nhiều rồi á. Ba chục con cua. Ba cái lòng hả? Ba chục rồi á.
Likewise, some states will not open crab season if overfishing threatens the population. Fishing during these windows may be a criminal offense. Depending on the variety and location, hard and soft shell crabs might be available, but there are different times when it is best to eat. Here is when to eat hard or soft shell crabs. Early fall is the best time of year to catch and eat hard shell crabs, particularly Maryland blue crabs. In September and October, crabs tend to be larger, so each crab contains more weight. Crab
Wrong one.
Crab available in supermarkets or restaurants earlier in the season might be crab that did not migrate over the winter. Soft shell crabs are available in 5 categories: mediums, hotels, primes, jumbos, and whales. Mediums range from 3.5 to 4 inches, while whales are crab over 5.5 inches, on average. These crabs tend to be more expensive because there is a short window when a crab sheds its shell for harvesting. This crab season begins in May and ends in September. You can typically purchase these crabs in specialty fish markets. Whether at your local market or on the menu of your favorite beach restaurant, you'll likely find these other types of crab. Some are cooked and frozen right on the boat, like snow and king crabs. Here's when to look for them. Stone crab, in season from October to May. These Atlantic crabs are caught for their meaty claws and are a Florida specialty. The black-tipped claws are snipped off, and the crabs are returned to the water to regrow. Dungeness crab. This large crab has sweet meat and is harvested in Pacific waters from California to Alaska. The season runs from December through spring. Alaskan king crab. One king crab leg can weigh up to a pound. This giant crab is found in cold Alaskan waters. Its season is in October and November. You'll find these frozen and ready to heat. Their sweet meat tastes like lobster meat. Snow crab, also found in cold waters. These large crabs are from the North Atlantic and North Pacific Oceans.
So much soft, man.
The season runs from late fall to early summer. They are sold cooked and frozen. Jonah crab. This East Coast crab has a thick shell like the Dungeness crab and is available from fall through spring. You'll typically find them sold as claws or picked meat. Crabs should be bought in season, live or already cooked.
Oh, good one. Oh, that's a good one.
When buying live crabs, make sure they are still moving. Do not buy or cook raw crab that is dead. Buy live crabs the day you plan to cook them, and store them in a cooler lined with wet newspaper to keep them cool and moist until cooking time. Cooked crab can be purchased fresh or frozen, and it should be cold.
37 con rồi. Not bad.
Learn how to catch Dungeness crab here. It's really fairly easy compared to catching fish and as basic as catching any other types of crab. First things first, to catch Dungeness, you need to use good bait. We use chicken legs or turkey legs. They are rather cheap and we have found that Dungeness crab love turkey and chicken legs. If you plan on leaving the area where you throw your crab pots for longer than an hour and a half, we suggest using 2 legs per pot if using chicken or 1 turkey leg. That way all the bait won't get eaten before your pot gets full. In order to have a successful day crabbing, your bait must be properly secured inside of your crab pot. The simplest way to catch Dungeness crab is to be sure your bait is secured inside your crab pot. To do this, take a piece of 14 or 16 gauge wire and cut it to about 4 inches in length. Insert the wire through the chicken or turkey leg and wrap it back around the bone and twist it to itself. Now you should have a chicken leg attached to a piece of wire with a roughly 3-inch end to it. Take this leg and wire, place it in the bottom center of the crab pot with the wire end poking out. Now wrap the remaining wire around the crab pot's framework several times until secure. Your pot is now baited and ready to catch Dungeness crab for dinner. Another way to bait your pots is to purchase a bait pouch which you can fill with fresh chicken legs or leftover chicken meat and bones from dinner the night before. The bait pouch is fastened to the crab pot by means of a large safety pin that, when fastened correctly, not only holds the pouch in place but also keeps your bait in the pouch. Either way is fine and totally up to you. You can also use large plastic twist ties to secure your bait. Whatever is easiest and at your disposal. Now that your pots are baited, you need to attach your line and harness to your pot. Or you could have your line and harness already hooked up. Once this is done and you are sure your bait is secure, it is time to catch Dungeness crab like never before. Crab like somewhat sandy to rocky seabeds, particularly that with some growth of eelgrass which affords the younger crab some sanctuary from the natural predators. Generally speaking, crab will move towards shore as the tide changes from low tide to high tide. Therefore, it becomes advantageous to know your tide tables in your area, which tell you when low or high tides occur. Dungeness crab have been found in waters up to 300 feet deep, but this is not practical for the sports crabber. We find that 55 to 85 feet depth works real well to catch Dungeness crab. Bear in mind that when crabbing these depths you will need at least 100 feet of line. Please read our Crab-O-licious crab tips up in the right-hand column of this page. You found your secret crab highway, the best place to catch Dungeness crab. The depth is good and the tide is just starting to come in. Throw your pot overboard. Once you have thrown all your pots over, 100 feet at least in between each one, go relax, perhaps fish a while. Let these crab pots soak for about an hour, 2 at the most. If you leave your crab pots for more than a couple of hours, keep in mind those crab can strip your bait in less. You may want to consider a turkey leg if you leave for much longer than that. Point your boat into the sea of floating crab buoys. Hopefully you made a mental note of roughly where you dropped your pots. Once in amongst the various buoys, search until you find yours, being careful not to disturb anyone else's equipment. Having located one of your pots, pull slowly up alongside of it in order to grab it out of the water either by hand or by use of a gaffing hook, crab puller. Immediately upon grabbing your buoy, turn the engine off on your boat. This will prevent the possibility of getting your line wrapped up in your propeller. Not a pretty sight. Now then, pull. Coiling your line as it comes on board is essential to being able to quickly reset your crab pot again, and coiling the line will help guard against getting the line all knotted up. Another alternative way to catch Dungeness crab is with a fishing line and hook. Oh yeah, it's true, you don't necessarily need to use crab pots. If you know an area, perhaps by a dock by a marina or the like where crabs hang out, it's fairly easy to cut a chunk of chicken meat off of a chicken bone and put it on a fishing hook. Let your line down to the bottom of the marine water. Remember, crabs can't swim. They crawl the ocean floors. Once you have your crab pot pulled to the surface, pull it into the boat and begin to sort your, hopefully, large haul and measuring your catch. To do this, remove the crabs one at a time, being sure to not get bit or clawed. Flip each crab upside down to see its belly to determine its sex. You do this by simply taking a measuring caliper and measuring the crab's shell across the widest area of the shell. Throw out all female, wide belly, the crab on the right in the picture, and juveniles, under 6¼ inches wide across the shell. Keep the male crabs, narrow belly, on the left in the picture. Also, on a side note, you may have caught a legal limit sized or bigger crab, but you need to check him and see if he has fully molted back into his hard shell state. Roger will explain this in this video. With that said, make sure you have a nice golden toned legged Dungeness and it's not white and soft. It may still need time to grow back into its new shell. If you keep the softer shelled crabs, they won't have much meat to them. Why not throw it back and let it grow and grab another one that's good and meaty? Crab traps, like mouse traps, are rarely reinvented. Choosing the crab trap comes down to quality. I looked for quality components, the toughest construction, and easy operation. Wire mesh, heavy rebar, heavy-duty latches, and corrosion-resistant materials keep a crab trap crabbing longer. Salt water, sand, mud, and rock work together to tear apart a crab trap. The crab traps use stainless steel, rubber-coated galvanized steel, rot-resistant bungees and UV-resistant plastics to combat the elements. Small features make a big difference in ease of use. I like a large door to easily remove the crab. Also, a large, easy-to-access bait cage makes the trap easier to maintain. The crab line, harness, and float are just as important as the trap. If you buy a crab trap kit, make sure the quality of the accessories match the quality of the trap. Any crab trap will catch crab, but the crab traps make crabbing more fun, easy, and effective. The easiest way to catch crabs is to bait a crab pot and let it soak for a few hours. Retrieve the pot and it is full of crabs. Open the large hatch and dump the crabs into the best fishing cooler. Refill the removable bait cage and return the pot to the water. The Promar TR55 is the best crab trap overall because it has all the advantages of a crab pot without the weight and bulk. The collapsible TR55 folds flat when not in use. In the water, the TR55 works the same as a full-size pot. Crabs climb into the trap through the entrance doors. Once the crab is inside, the door closes and the crab is trapped. Smaller crabs can climb out through the small escape ring. The TR55 is designed for blue crabs, but Promar makes a similar trap for other crab species. With sturdy stainless steel components and a rubber-covered bottom, the SMI heavy-duty crab trap is the best crab trap for Dungeness crab. 3 entry doors with elevated ramps make it easy for crabs to crawl in but impossible for them to escape. The complete kit comes with a lead rope, buoy, bait box, crab gauge and harness. To easily sort the crabs, the SMI trap has a large opening in the top to separate keepers from throwbacks without dumping the crabs onto a sorting table. Rubber-wrapped rebar adds weight to quickly sink the SMI heavy-duty to the bottom. Why it made the cut? The American Blue Claw 1/2 crab trap kit has the same catching design at only half the size of a traditional crab pot. Fill the basket with crabs without taking up too much space in a small boat. The classic blue crab pot at half the size, the American Blue Claw 1/2 crab trap kit is great for short soaks with several traps. Instead of one large pot deployed at one location, the half-size American Blue Claw allows me to drop 2 pots at different locations for better coverage. Crabs crawl into the funnel and can't escape. A large door in the top makes it safe and easy to empty the pot. Small escape hatches allow short crabs to exit the trap, leaving more space for keepers. If you plan to drop off a couple traps, spend the day fishing or boating, and then return to retrieve your bounty, this is the best crab trap for blue crabs.